Hi, in today's episode, we are going to talk about why we do the things we shouldn't and not the things that we should do. And why do we care about that? Well, I don't know about you, but I have no interest in wasting my time on things that I don't need to be doing because I want to be kicking my goals and getting there as fast as possible. Welcome to the Less is More for Leaders podcast, the ultimate guide for leaders who want to achieve more by doing less. I'm Louise Ledbrook, a high-performance productivity coach and business leader with over 20 years experience. Get ready for a life-changing ride as my guests and I explore how you can create space in your life to focus on what truly matters, both in business and in your personal life. We'll be sharing simple yet powerful strategies and stories of success, so get ready to unleash your full potential. Often we get frustrated that we haven't hit our goals yet. We find that when we're working on important projects and tasks, sometimes, they feel like they're just dragging out and they're just going on forever and you never feel like you're getting to the end. And often we beat ourselves up for it. We've beat ourselves up for not doing the things that we think we should be doing. We make ourselves feel terrible. And ultimately, we end up worried that we're never going to make it. We're never going to hit the target. Yeah, but knowledge is power, if used right, of course. And you do have the ability and the power to hit your goals. You also can beat those distractions, learn to say no, and in the end, you will look back with pride at all the things that you have achieved. Yeah. So today, I'm going to talk about what it is that makes us do the things that we shouldn't and not the things that we should. So we're going to go from understanding how your brain is wired to the emotions that keep you in this place, and also how your brain is actually tricking you to believe a reality that isn't even true. And also how counterintuitive actions are what will set you free, and that sometimes creating the boring is what's going to combat this issue altogether. Okay, so let's get into it. Hey, so why do we do the things that we shouldn't and not the things that we should do? To be honest, there's actually quite a long list, but let's talk about some of the important ones and some of the things that you can start to take more control of, right? This is really about empowering you so that you can take control of yourself, your mind, body, spirit, time, so that you can achieve more, right? And do less, right? Because while ever you're doing the things that you shouldn't, you're doing more than you need to. You're probably busy and overwhelmed and flat out all the time. But if we analyze what we're spending our time on, a lot of us find that we've been doing things that we shouldn't be doing, right? Us, right? And sometimes the things need to be done, but we don't need to be doing them. And sometimes they shouldn't have been done at all. So one of the first things is we are wired for spikes of stimulation in current modern society. We're always been wired for stimulation, but more so today than ever because we have TikTok and Reels and 7-second videos and all of these things that take our attention and give you a spike of dopamine, of joy, in such short stints, right? And so monotony, tedium, boring, consistency kind of falls away, right? It's not something that we like to build into our lives because we're like, that is boring. I need the quick spike. Give me the spike, right? So we're wired for these spikes. And so we're looking for them, okay? And sometimes the things that we should be doing, well, they're a little bit boring. We don't want to do the boring, right? And sometimes that's what we need to be doing. Not the boring, that's kind of not the right word, but the things that aren't giving us those immediate and really short-term spikes. I think that's the important thing, is that they feel boring today because of that. I think the longest that our attention often can be held is like 3 minutes. I know that TikTok videos are now up to 10 minutes, but that'd have to be a pretty enthralling video, right, for someone to watch that video for 10 minutes because they're so used to just going next, next, next. Yeah. So we're wired for these spikes. The other thing is kind of related is FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. So if we don't go to this place or we don't say yes to this thing, we might miss out on an opportunity or seeing something or being part of something, or we're going to see it on Facebook and have like resentment for that, or it's like when you have meal envy. It's going to be like that. Like, I'm going to envy that I didn't take that opportunity. And some things look like opportunities, but they're actually detrimental to the opportunities that you're already working on. And so it's trying to find that balance when you think it's something you fear of missing out on, an opportunity, because opportunities are everywhere. If you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a business leader, we're built to look for opportunities. We're built to look for solutions and profit and revenue and all of those fun things, right? A new product, a new innovation. That's how we're designed. And so we'll be looking for opportunities all the time, and they will present themselves because we look for them and we see them everywhere. Yeah. And so be careful of fear of missing out on an opportunity that actually could be detrimental to an opportunity you're already invested in and working on, just because it looks like a bit of a bright, shiny object. Yeah. Another big one is guilt, right? We just feel guilty. We feel guilty for saying no. We feel guilty for not doing something. We feel guilty for missing the opportunity because it might mean that something else doesn't happen or someone else misses out. We need to drop the guilt, right? And one of the ways we drop the guilt is be crystal clear on what we want. Many of us are not clear and crystal clear on what we want. Yeah. If you don't know what you want, you'll be anyone's. Yeah. And so be really clear on what you want, like crystal clear. Not just, I wrote my goals down 12 months ago and sure, I wrote my goals down so I know what I want, right? No, I want you to be able to rattle off your goals. I want you to be like able to go, my top 3 are A, B, C. Here are the measures, the SMART goals. Specific and measurable, realistic goals. I want you to be able to rattle them off at any point in time, because if you can do that, then your subconscious gets on board and it will stop feeling guilty when it says no. Do you know why? Because it will say, you haven't told me that that's a priority. Why would I say yes to that? Yeah. But if you don't give your subconscious any priorities, it'll say yes to everything and your emotions will take over. Yeah, we are emotion-based creatures. We make decisions based on emotion, including the guilt of saying no. So be careful of that one. Yeah. Now, I've touched on this a little bit, but another one is that consistency feels boring and takes work. And so we don't put those practices in place and good habits in place so that we do make sure we focus on the things we should and not the things that we shouldn't. Yeah. And so that's a big one. Consistency is hard for many of us human beings, but it is the answer to success. So if you can make sure that you can put consistent practices in place, then you will be successful, right? Consistent practices that lead you towards your goals, you will be successful. Yeah. So consistency feels boring and it takes work, but it is the answer to everything. And also, often because of that, because it feels boring, we don't give structure and consistency a chance, right? Also, it's a slow burn. The thing with structure and consistency is it's a slow burn and you don't get an acute spike of success. It's like this little, it's kind of like tapping away at the success. And then one day you're, oh, I finished it. I did the thing. I've won, like I got there. But it's like, there's no like big wins along the way. You're consistently ticking things off and making your way there, right? That's why it kind of you don't get those dopamine spikes. You might get some, right? But not big acute ones, which is what we're looking for these days, unfortunately. And the other thing is related to that is bad habits are hard to break. Yeah. So if you've already got some bad habits in place that are making you inconsistent or they are diverting you away from the things that make you successful, they're tricky to break. But consistency of new habits and good habits will help you break the bad habits as well. Okay, consistency is key, as they say. And one of the things that feels really counterintuitive when you are super busy and just have so much to do is stopping. Yeah. And the thing is, stopping is the answer. You need to stop when you're in that state of chaos and just saying yes to everything, just doing everything, and you're trying to do all these things, and then you're doing all these things that you shouldn't, but you don't realize you're doing the things you shouldn't because you're going so fast. And then at some stage you kind of go, why did I do those things? I didn't need to do those things. Or why did I say yes to those things? It's because you didn't stop and assess and plan the way that you want to move forward. Yeah. So stop, assess, plan. It stops the chaos. When you feel that overwhelming chaos, stop, assess and plan. It feels counterintuitive because you're like, I am so busy. Stopping sounds like the wrong thing to do, but it's actually the right thing to do. Okay. And another tricky thing that keeps us stuck in this place is comparison-itis, yeah, and judgment. We judge ourselves because we compare ourselves against these other magical people around us that seem like they've got it all together and they're so successful in getting it all done. If they can do everything, why can't I do everything? Do you want to do everything? I mean, you really, like, is it making you feel good to try and do everything? They could be melting down in the background. You don't know everything that's going on for someone. A lot of people seem like they're these amazing people and have got it together, and they really don't. Yeah. So one, don't compare yourself to an earlier version of yourself, and don't compare yourself to anyone else. The only thing you get to judge yourself on every day is, did I do the things that make me feel good? And did I do the things that I feel like were the right things for me to work on to achieve my goals? Yeah. If you can't say yes to those things, then maybe you're working on the wrong things. Yeah. If you feel like you have to be able to show up to school drop off with a full face of makeup, go to the gym every morning, maybe twice a day, make all meals from scratch, make the kids' birthday cake from scratch, and also become a cake designer and a party planner, and also run a business and maybe a second business, and also run the household. If you feel like you like doing all those things, then by all means find a way to do everything, right? But of those things that you don't like, just outsource them. I outsource the cake making. I am not a cake maker. I like the idea of being able to make a great cake, but that's not my thing. That's not my genius zone. It's never going to be, because I do not have a desire to spend hundreds of hours learning how to make amazing cakes, right? I have 2 businesses to run, and I love running them. I love creating in those businesses more than I love the thought of creating a cake, you know? So be really choosy with where you spend your time. Know what you want and choose to spend your time on those things, yeah? And stuff everyone else. Who cares what everyone else can and is and should be doing, what you think you should be doing in comparison to those people? Nobody cares, because everyone's only ever looking at themselves anyway, or comparing themselves to you. Like, they're probably comparing themselves to you going, oh God, I wish I was like that, you know? So stop wasting that energy and that time on that comparison-itis, please. Because whenever you're using energy on that, it's sucking the energy away from you being able to focus on the things that you should be working on. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. So stop it, basically. The other thing which is interesting and challenging for a lot of you is that you have to believe that things can be different. Yeah? How many of you are sitting there going, this is all great, Louise, but this is just my lot in life, and until something happens, until I finish this project, until I get more money, until blah, 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 it's just going to be this way. Well, you know, that's also a great story that you're telling yourself. It's a perception that you have chosen and a story you've chosen to take on. And I know you're hating on me right now and you're going, Louise, it is actually reality. This is my reality. Okay, it is, but do you believe that it could be different? Like, do you believe that there is a way? I know there's a way. I know it can be different. Do you know how I know? One, I used to work 80 plus hours a week. You know, it almost cost me my husband. He was my partner at the time, but now my husband. Luckily he stuck around and, you know, worked it all out. And I want to be able to have time with my family. If I was working the way I was before, my kids would hate me. I would never see them. I wouldn't know who they are. right? I don't want that, and they don't want that, right? Because I want to show them that they can be great, powerful women. I have 2 girls. If I'm not around, how do I show them that? I can't show them that from a distance. All they know is that they would know is an absent mum. And if I'm hitting a nerve here, I'm sorry, but also not sorry, because this is your trigger to change something, right? To start believing it can be different for you. I know it can be different from personal experience and the experience of my clients, that it can be different, but you have to want it, right? And ultimately, that's the foundation of it, right? You have to want it to be different. You have to want to change things so you can only work on the things you should and not the things that you shouldn't. So the first thing is to start telling yourself another story, telling yourself a better story that it can be different, okay? No blaming. It's just a new perspective, right? I want that for you. I'm sure you want that for you as well. Yeah. So you know now how you're wired. You know that you're wired for these things. You're kind of working, I know it's an uphill battle, right? You're working against society, which is busy, and the way you've been brought up and how everything is just chaos at the moment, right? I know you're working against a really hard rock, but it's possible, but you got to want it. And then I promise you, once you get there, you will just feel emancipated, because I did. Once I realized I could have a different life and still be successful, it was freeing. Absolutely freeing. Yeah. So, hope you got a lot out of today. I hope some food for thought there. Keep listening to my videos and my podcast, because we will talk about a whole bunch of other solutions in other episodes to combat all of those different things, right? There are lots of different techniques that can be used to combat them. And if you want, jump onto our website, the organiseyourself.net website, spelt with an S, Organise with an S. I'm from Australia. And you can get on the free productivity training. It's like 30 minutes in 4 lessons and under 30 minutes in total. I promise you, you will get hours back a day if you implement the techniques that I explained to you in those lessons. Well worth it. It's free. Jump on the website, sign up for the training, and let me know how you went. And of course, subscribe and follow and comment and let me know how you go. Thanks.